Today we're going to test the maximum capacities of my homemade sawmill. Up until this point, I've only been able to pick up a log that was 25 to a 30-inch range in diameter due to my limitations on the lifting capacity of the blue tractor. But since then, I've acquired this Bobcat 883, which has a much higher lifting capacity. I also have this silver maple log that's been sitting here waiting for this moment. It ranges in diameter from roughly about 32 to 36 inches, which is going to be perfect match for the mill, which has a maximum cut about 39-40 inches. So we're going to see if we can wrestle this beast up onto the mill, and we're going to see if the old 12 horsepower Kohler can make the cut. This log's been sitting for, I think, 3 years or about 2.5 years. My goal was for it to spalt in combination. Like I said earlier, I didn't have any way to pick it up, and I just cut off this end, and it looks like we do have some spalting going on, which is going to be pretty interesting to see what it looks like along the long side of the grain here. But it looks like it worked. The outside layer is a little bit soft, so I'm going to lose a little bit, but you know, it's going to be pretty cool if I got spalted maple in here. Okay, I have the log all trimmed up now. I've been back and forth on how exactly I'm going to set this log carefully onto the mill. It's very heavy. I certainly don't want to bend or break anything. So, but after going back and forth on this a couple times in my head, it's been possible to set a log using the forks, but as you can see, I don't have much clearance. I only have about maybe an inch of clearance over the top of this rail from the side rail, so there's not a whole lot of room to squeeze the forks in and out of, and plus inside the machine you can't see all that great. So I know it's going to take a little bit longer, but I think for this exercise it'll be worth it. Instead of picking it up from the bottom, I'm going to take a couple chains, make some loops, and loop over the forks. This way I'll be able to lift the log up this way, up high in the air, and I should be able to see exactly where the log is, and then I can carefully lower it down onto the mill, as opposed to trying to set it on there with the forks, or which would be really bad if it rolls off the back side. I am going to lift up my stops as high as they go. So we'll see how it goes. I used a short chain here. This is going to be a perfect length. This other chain's extra long. I'm sure this has a name. I call it a chain shortener. If you know the proper name, type it down in the comments. I'm curious if this thing actually has a name. All it is, I just made it out of a couple lengths of chain and 2 hooks. This way you can take it and hook it anywhere on your chain and back to the other chain, and then make a shorter loop so that you don't have to do something with all that extra. So this is kind of handy to have. So if you're messing with chains, I'd suggest either buying one of these things or making one of these things. Okay, that was a little bit interesting, but we have it on here. We're a little concerned that it's a little too far this way, but we're gonna be cutting the way up here to start. So we're gonna make a test pass and see how it goes. But we have it supported. I ended up throwing 4x4 under this side so that the top of the log is a little more level. And we're gonna see if we can take off some of this top section. I'm expecting the outer edge to be pretty rotted anyway, so I'm gonna be getting rid of that anyway. I would say how it goes. Okay, the first cut went pretty good. This blade's pretty dull though, so I do have a little bit of waviness, but I wanted to use the old blade to get at least the first cut off. We've discussed it. We're going to switch the blade, and then we're going to pull it off the mill, flip it over so that this is on the bottom, and then we'll make another cut. Ultimately, I think I can wind up with boards like 25 to 30 inches wide. We'll see how it goes. All right, here's that second cut here. So now we have two flat sides. There is some active grubs in this outer layer, so we're gonna have to lose the outside of this wood. There's no chance of a live edge. So what we just discussed, and what I'm thinking about doing is, right now I got 21 inches. I could cut this into 3 large chunks that will give me 2 options. I could then resaw them, flat saw them this way, or I could turn them on end and wind up with, you know, at least a nice 6-inch wide board that I can do a glue up or something with. All right, have a revolving modified plan. We were able to rotate this up with a chain and the bobcat, and we have it sitting really nice against the fence in the back here. So this is 14 inches wide. So I'm going to cut some boards. So I have one that's about 7 inches wide, and now I'm going to cut some boards off of this, probably 2-inch wide, all the way down. But we're going to take this last top cut, and then we're going to change the blade. All right, that was a successful milling section. We're running out of time, so I'm going to have to come back tomorrow to finish up this. I'm just going to cut my 7-inch wide boards, probably 5/4 thick, all the way down. So I'll run through that tomorrow and get that stacked. But we did get everything cleaned up and stickered and stacked that we cut today. You know, I moved some wood that's dry. That's going to come home with me to build a project. That's some walnut there. All the offcuts are over there. And here's our stack. So I have, let's see, 5 5/4 boards and 2 2-inch thick boards, all with this nice spalted maple. I threw this piece of locust on top for weight. I will be putting some tin roof over this. It's not supposed to rain tonight, so I'm just going to let it go tonight. I did end seal all of the end grain with some wood glue, so that should help keep the boards from checking. All right, thanks for watching, guys. This was a interesting one, as heavy and big as that log was, but with the help of a friend and a machine, we were able to get it done. Thanks for watching.